All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. Let's talk, man. So I was talking to my mom, and she said she had a conversation with somebody on Facebook. I'm like, what you on Facebook for? And they were talking about, lady was complaining, talking about her job makes her employee, it makes them go down to Detroit and do community work and clean up the city of Detroit. And she don't understand, why we got to continue to clean up the city. And it's always dirty. It never improves. Every time they clean it up, they got to come back and clean up the same area. And to be honest, it's a kind of a twofold question. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's a two-layer answer. One, the illegal dumping in Detroit I speak about towards the end, but people got to start caring, man. Your yard, start off with your yard. If you got a vacant house next to you, hey, man, there ain't nothing to cut that vacant yard. It shouldn't be nothing to cut that vacant yard. Sweep the glass up if it's glass, and we got to stop dumping and littering in the city, throwing your bottles out, pissing in bottles, throwing them on the side of the road, dumping your trash out. And could the city do a little bit better job of having trash cans around? I could see that. Yeah, there should be more accessible trash cans. People should get, come pick up the trash cans on the street. But y'all got to stop dumping and throwing stuff out, throwing bottles out, leaving down Julio glasses out. At one point they were, before I moved out, of the city, they were in these little helium bottles. You know what I'm saying? Little helium bottles they were smoking and dropping on the side. You see glass bottles and, the children got to look at that. Basketball courts breaking glass, spray painting stuff. Like, come on now. Come on. You don't need to litter. Teach your kids not to litter. Respect your area first. If you rent a house or got a house or you bought a house or you inherited, whatever it is, cut the grass. Plant a flower or three. You know what I'm saying? Sweep up. You know what I'm saying? Your domain is a reflection of your house. I knew somebody at one point who was renting a house and he kept the house so nice that the guy ended up selling him the house or giving him the house. It was one of the two. He ended up selling him on a cheap price and giving it to him because of how well he took care of his house. Still have it to this day, bro. So you don't know who watching, and this is why when people say, well, I hate HOAs, this is why HOAs exist. Because if you put a lot of work into your house and you keep your house clean, you do what you're supposed to do, and your neighbor don't, it drops the value of everybody's houses. So in a way, a HOA is needed. You got to pay to play because once you don't have these things in place, the neighbors don't clean, the neighbors too loud, the neighbors don't pick up the trash, the neighbors dumping, they doing illegal parties. And, for the most part, you have to respect your neighbors. And honestly, there's a saying, whether you live in a neighborhood, a townhouse, an apartment complex, a village, you pay for your neighbors. You pay for the quality of the neighbors that you have. And, in my opinion, in the city of Detroit, we gotta treat it better, man. We have to treat the city of Detroit better as Detroiters, man. We can't come down here, throwing trash out the window, cleaning out our cars and dumping the trash, out the car and then pulling off and throwing dirty diapers. Like, come on. And then y'all understand why y'all get mad when stereotypes are earned. And the messed up thing about stereotypes, the crazy thing about it is it don't affect the people that it doesn't affect the people who uphold the stereotype. That's the crazy shit about it. It doesn't affect the people who uphold the stereotype. It affects the people who don't uphold the stereotypes. That's the crazy thing about it. Yeah, so the stereotypes tend to affect the people. They tend to affect the people, they tend to affect the people who care the most. And the people who don't care, they don't care nothing about stereotypes. And that's the issue where, as black people, we tell hey man, why women wearing a bonnet out in public? Watch what you wear in public. Hey man, you shouldn't wear this out in public. You should. Come on, because those stereotypes, they come from somewhere and they're created and they hold us against us in workplace. They hold it against us out in the public and social clubs and stuff. So you know, we know we're not a monolith, but at the same time, we gotta do better, bro. It ain't nothing not to dump some trash and wait till you get home and put it in the trash can or pull over to the car wash and, you know, dump the trash in a trash can. It ain't nothing to do that, you know? We should be able to keep our city clean. You know, we should. And now if you're really paying attention, you're going through Detroit, you know, and this is the second part I really want to talk about. You're going through the city of Detroit, you're seeing a lot of cameras on the corners. I'm not mean like on Finkel or on School. I mean, when you go like on Linden or you go on Shell Font, just you're seeing cameras because of illegal dumping. And there's a lot of people who come to the city. It's a lot of people who got businesses in the city. A lot of people who got businesses and work in the city don't live in the city. That's why you see traffic jam. So if you going to the city of Detroit, you coming from west, you coming east, it's always jammed in the morning and in the rush hour when you coming from work, because a lot of people live in the city. I mean, work in the city, but don't live in the city. When a lot of people dump, they dump. They take the tires of the used shop instead of recycling the tires and paying that money to burn the tires. They dump them. A lot of people doing rehab homes, or they even fixing homes in the city of Detroit. They fixing homes in Livonia. They fixing homes in Grosse Pointe. And then they come into Detroit at nighttime to illegal dump, you know, in the area. Illegal dumping is a huge issue in Detroit. And a lot of times, you know, I would say that makes up to about, you know, 50, 60% of the trash problem in Detroit. Because ain't no, you know, citizens just dumping a tire, dumping rims, dumping drywall. A lot of times those companies that don't want to, you know, recycle, don't want to pay the recycle fees, want to cut the costs. And they come to the city of Detroit and they do a lot of illegal dumping. You know, and it's, you know, so that's true. Illegal dumping make up about half or 60% of the trash. If it was just regular trash, it wouldn't even seem that bad. But it's bathtubs, it's, you know, sinks and, you know, laundry equipment and stuff. Those be these people that want to cut the cost, bro, and don't want to dump and recycle this shit the right way. And it's about time for that to become possibly a felony. You know, and it's about probably time for people to start getting hefty fines. You know, and that's a lot on the police, or giving people hefty fines for dumping their trash in the city or on the freeway. It's about time for that, bro. But hey, that's all I had to say, man. Hit the link in the description. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, X. You need to reach out. Check out Detroit News, you know, a playlist for more videos like this, or hopefully no more videos like this. Peace.